This session we're going to do some hip mobility. It's a follow along session. My name's Coach Troy Savage. I've trained over 3,000 people with mobility online and I work as an online mobility coach. We're going to do 3 exercises and we're going to superset and go for 3 rounds. First one we're going to do is our internal runner. Legs a comfortable distance apart, heel into the ground, toe pointing to the ceiling. I'm going to put arms back to start and all we're going to do is try and drop that knee till it touches the ground and then back out. I'm going to do 10 reps of these before we switch to the other side. Nice and easy. It's totally fine if your knee doesn't go right to the ground. If you go to, your level for these mobility stuff and exercises that I do, don't try and copy me. You do it to whatever level you are up to. And this one's working internal rotation of the hip. So we've got 9 reps there. If I get the reps wrong, it's just because I'm speaking and doing things at the same time. Same here, switch legs, heel into the ground, toe pointing to the ceiling, arms behind to start, knee into ground, push the knee out, knee into ground. So this is a nice internal rotation for the hip. I always find this one's a real good starter because all levels can do it. If this is a little bit easy, then we can bring the hands in front and it makes it a little bit harder. But if you're still beginning and you're still a beginner, then we can put our hands behind. 9 and then 10. Now we're going to go into a 90-90 stretch. It's called the 90-90 because we want a 90-degree angle here and a 90-degree angle in this part here. And all we're going to do is square up and we're just going to fold forward. We're going to do 5 reps, pause, and then back up. And this one we're working external rotation. 2. Always get that little pause. We're just going to get a nice little stretch on the glute as well. If you're a bit stuck, bring the legs a little bit closer. It makes it a lot easier instead of getting into that 90-90 position. 4, 5. And then we're going to switch to the other side. So keep your feet on the ground. Lift the back leg, the front knee, keep the feet down. And then we're just going to transition, tidy up those 90-degree angles. And then we're just going to fold forward again, pause, and then back up. So this is hip mobility, but it's a nice session. It's not a super hard session, like RPE wise, probably not going over a 5, but it still feels good. And we're working that external rotation. This is going to be a little bit harder. We're going to work hip flexion. Hands, we'll go either side of the quad to start. If it's a little bit harder, we can go hands behind. Point those toes like a gymnast, lock that knee hard, and then we're just lifting and then slowly lowering. 2, we're going to do 10 reps here. 3, and down. 4, what we don't want to do is lift and then just drop. Okay, 5, 6, 7. If you cramp up, that's totally fine, just rest and then go back into an 8, 9. So this is just going to give us a bit of hip strength. The other 2, external rotation and internal rotation of the hip. This one's a bit of I call it a strength side of the mobility things that we do. 3, just nice and light session today. Hands behind to make it easier. 5, if you find your legs going too high in the air, then bring that arm in front just to make it a little bit harder. If this is too easy, go further forward. You're going to see I want to start struggling because the leverage is forward, making it a lot harder. 8, 9, 10. So that's already our first round. So we've done 3 exercises, done each of those rep schemes, and now we're going to go back into the internal runner. If your hips are feeling a little bit like crampy or tight, just loosen them up a little, move around, stand up, do what you have to do. Okay, we're going to go back into that internal runner, drop that knee into the ground, drive the knee out. Knee into the ground, drive the knee out. So first session we done the pissing dogs and the horse stance. If I can pop it up here. So I'll do that session. Next day, you can do this session. It's a really good back and forth to really get those hips moving really, really good. The other one's a lot harder of a session. This is, a 5 out of 10 intensity, if that. But I feel like this one can be done every day as well. I feel like the hips, can be trained every day compared to things like the groins and the hammies need a bit more of a rest. Back to the other side now. Yeah, just play with the levels you want to play with. If you're a hands behind person, that's fine, but eventually you want to just test yourself and make it a little bit harder by bringing the hands in front. 6, 7, I don't rest in between my mobilities, I just like to get it done. We can do this before a weight session, before a lower body session as well, just to loosen up the hips. That's number 10. What we got now? We've got our 90-90. I'll face the camera for this one. Make sure the legs nice in front, square. If you are falling to the side here, you can put a little towel under the bum or a yoga block, and they'll just allow you to fold forward a lot more easier. Okay, so we're doing the 3 rounds on our second round already. It's nice and easy compared to most things we do. 4, and then 5. You should be feeling it depending where you feel tight. Sometimes you can feel this in the groin, but on that outside hip. Instead of the transition, for the camera's sake, I'll just do a little move like that so you can have different angles of seeing the stretch. 1, just 5 reps for this. Main thing is just trying to push this range as far as you can go. If you can't get that low, that's totally fine to pull up here as well. Work within your levels. All the exercises don't need to look like me. I've been doing this for years, and this is sort of what I tell my coaching clients as well. Even though I do demonstrations of the exercises at the start, it doesn't need to look like me. We're back into our lifts, so we're building that strength. Remember, hands behind to make it easier, hands in front and further down towards your ankles to make it harder. If you're feeling cramps in this exercise, totally fine, just keep going. If you cramp up, say, I can already feel it here, so I haven't done these in a while. So when you sort of do cramp, shake that leg out, back into it. 8, 9, nice and smooth reps, okay? No clunky reps. Before switching to the other side, point that toe, lock that knee, squeeze that quad. Work within your level for these as well, hands behind. 4, 5, even though it's mobility, I'm still getting my little sweat on. 6, because I don't like to rest. Get it done. Should use as an activation towards your sporting sessions or training sessions in weights. Cool, shake it out a little bit. Going back into the internal runner, we're already up to our last round. Okay, internal runner, heel, toe pointing to the ceiling, drive that knee into the ground, and then drive out. Bring the hands up to make it a little bit harder, hands behind to make it easier. Okay, 3, good, drive out. Just feeling that rotation right here, it's a nice, this is the best one I've ever, one of my top 5 ones I use with clients always. It's really easy to regress and progress. I get a lot of questions like, how many times should we do this a week? This session can be done every day. You know, your hips are gonna feel a lot better after getting, I don't know, I feel like we're just oiling the joints here. Other side, drop that knee in and drive back out. Drop it in and drive back out. Drop it in. And this will pair perfectly with the other follow along session I've done with the horse stance and pissing dog. But I find that one's way harder than a session like this. You don't always have to be going super hard or super easy with your stretches. 6, 7, 8. I think this might only take 5 minutes total to get through some good hip work. Now we're going to our 90-90. Face this way. We're doing bending forward, pause, and then come back up. Feel the stretch in the front glute. You may also feel stretches in different positions, but usually feel the stretches in the areas that you find, or for you personally, are tight, okay? Last one, 5. Do that little nice transition, feet on the ground, open that back knee, and then transition over, tidy it up a little, and then just fold. 1, 2, make it harder, you can take the hands, put them behind the back. 3, and then you have to lift yourself up with the weight pushing into the ground. 4, 5. Good. Already on our last little lifts now. Our final round, lift that leg. 1, 2. On this one, really make it harder. So go hands further down, palms flat into the ground. You can go fingertips, so that makes it a little bit easier. I like those palms into the ground because it really drives into that hip flexor. 5, 6, nice smooth reps. 7, 8. Even though this is a pretty easy session, I'm still already feeling like I'm sweating up. 10, last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lock that knee, squeeze that quad, point that toe. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Sort of just shows how easy adding in mobility to your current training can be. You just need to do one of these sessions before. If you feel like it's not enough, you can combine this session with the horse stance pissing dog session, or you can go from here, which I usually program for clients, and go to a wall hip flexor stretch where we can do either 1 minute in the low position, 2 minutes high, both sides, and that adds an extra 6 minutes. So you're totaling around that 10 to 12 minute mark. I don't try and program more than 15 minutes for mobility sessions because people are already doing like other training, like they got footy. I've got a lot of sports players, so you can't add in like an hour stretch session on top of your already training load, because I know you go from training 5 times a week to training 10 times. And I just think with time and being efficient, and even with mobility, I don't feel like you need that much anyway to get results. So it's more about just being consistent over a long time. And once your hips are good, you're going to take that into your weights. If you're doing squatting, onto your running, if you're a sports player, you're going to feel a lot better. Cool.